Now's a good time if you are tuning in. Grab your friends, tell them that we're on any minute now. Okay. We're at 9:31. I should get going. So you want to do this? Alright, now I'm having a coffee. Nowhere else to do. Alive. I'm going. I'm doing it. Wait a second. A couple of things. Okay. I think that's it. Let's do this. Hola. How are we today? Today I'm coming to you in stereo. Oh. With all the zooming that's going on around the place and everyone getting caught up in their green screens. I painted my own green screen. I did it a few weeks ago. I've had it for a while. I'm literally the Harry Potter of my house at the moment. I found a little corner underneath the stairs that I painted green, stuck a light up in front of it. And yeah, I have my own green screen. But you know what? I'm doing a lot of Zooming lately, as I'm sure a lot of us have been, and I thought I'd go without a background today. Everyone's starting to get in on the background, but we will talk about backgrounds today. First of all, let's say hi to everyone who's watching. This is my favourite part of the day. Can't even spell watching. We're watching. Hi everybody. Okay, so I am streaming to my YouTube channel, my Twitch channel, and my Twitter feed all simultaneously. I'm doing my best to monitor all of those chat feeds. On Twitter, if you specifically want to talk to me, go to the hashtag webtheatre. Oh God. This is my vlogcast. This is where I come out and hang out every 2 weeks. And this is where I have verbal diarrhea vlog. Okay, it's a lot of things. I'm writing a PhD. Spend a lot of time writing. So it's good to get online and just kind of verbally download and get out of my head some of the things that I've been thinking and writing about. Do that. Talk them through. So this is where I get to do a bit of that, but this is also where I get to do that with a bit of an audience, namely you. So I know there's a lot of people, particularly in the last couple of weeks, who have been in the entertainment industry, who've been radically upset by this whole COVID thing, as we all know. So everyone's looking to go online, everyone's looking to create other sources of income, to keep performing, to do all this sorts of stuff. Totally fine. It's kind of like I've been working on this for 7 years, and in the last 2 weeks everyone's gone, oh, that's all right. But that's okay, because I'm here to help you, okay, given that I have been working on it for so long. So this vlog is also about theatre making techniques, how theatre makers can adapt and change and work online. How we can think about working online, and methods and techniques of how we can create work and sell work, and a whole new business model. It's very exciting, although it's moving very, very quickly, and a lot of people are sort of trying to catch up in a hurry. So this week, these last 2 weeks, I've been writing about writing for web-based theatre, for theatre performed and presented in an online format. And what I've come to the conclusion is that there are 4 different ways of thinking about theatre in an online environment. And these 4 different, or creating story and narrative in an online environment, and these 4 ways are unique and distinct. And if we understand how they work, as writers, we can better write characters and stories and scripts that tell the stories that we always, that we want to tell, entertainment stories. So, I'm going to go through the 4 different ways with you. First of all, and this is the way that everyone has immediately just kind of jumped on board online using Zoom and all the rest of it, is that the web is essentially thought of as a delivery model. Okay, it is a vehicle with which theatre makers and performers create something and then deliver it and broadcast it to you, and deliver it to you via the web to your location. Yeah, that's probably the most common. Let's have a little look-see here. That's probably, I'll show you something, the most common way that it's being used at the moment. So up here on the page at the moment, I have the Facebook page of the recent Rumpus 2020 season launch, which happened last Saturday even. And you can see here that, I mean, Rumpus is a small independent theatre commune who are developing and advocating new South Australian theatre, new South Australian writers. Brilliant. All good. Obviously their season has been disrupted by what's going on lately, so they have adapted very quickly, like we all have, and in the interim of knowing whether they can get back into a theatre, have started to deliver online content. And they did the program launch last Saturday, and essentially they've done it as a Zoom meeting, which most people would be familiar with. Invite the artists on board, talk to people, have a bit of, you know, I'm going to keep doing this, I'm going to keep pointing to the screen like you can see where I'm pointing to, but you have to, I'll try and remember to use my mouse and show you. They had an artist who was drawing, so they had a bit of visual stimulation there. They had the guest artist who was presenting. These were the 2 hosts here, and here's just a bit of publicity stuff, which often interact, you know, they changed that up. They did have a audience interaction component in as much as people could tweet and Facebook them. I think there was an administrator or a moderator looking at it on another screen somewhere and passing those messages on. So that's sort of your delivery model. Your other delivery models, let's see here, your other standard delivery models, and people will have been discovering these lately, is let's go here, for example. ANT Live, Australian National Theatre Live, copying the British model of broadcasting first tier, essentially, theatre productions around Australia. They have been using live streaming as a way of delivering it to cinemas up until recently, where they have started to move to Facebook as well. And now you can jump on the Facebook page of Australian National Theatre and you can watch the shows free that they were asking people to go to a cinema and watch. So again, it's a delivery model. It's just broadcasting and showing you what someone's doing somewhere. Sorry, I'm going to forget I'm on this camera too. Tried to automate a few things this week, so I'm not dancing on the keyboard like a DJ quite so much. The downside of that is I lose track of where the camera is, so work with me. Where was I? Yes, delivery model. So people are basically doing the stuff that they've always done, and then they're having that broadcast out via their networks and their channels and all the rest of it. Okay, not really much more to say about that. That's just what everyone's doing at the moment. The next 2 particular ways of writing story for the web. So this isn't writing story for the web so much. This is just broadcasting news or events. Okay, it's not so much writing for the web, although you probably could say, I want to go back to where it was. What's going on there? That's weird. They probably could say, where the hell did they go? Oh, there it is. although you probably could say that this Rumpus launch was a little bit more sort of designed to be presented online, because they were designing ad hoc an event to be delivered online. So there was a bit of thought about that, but just about the structure and how it looks. It's a little bit more. It looks a little bit more like a web-based interface of presentation. It's still a delivery model. Okay. Now the next two versions, like I was saying, I have termed web on top of drama and drama on top of the web. Right. Now, first of all, let's talk about the web on top of the drama. Now, the web on top of the drama is the principle that the drama or the action or the narrative of the story exists independent of the web-based interactions that are going on around it. Now, let me go back a little bit. When I talk about the web is a very unique, and the internet generally, and Web 2.0 particularly, is a very, very unique and hard to define thing, because it is a combination of people's input, it is a combination of hardware, it is a combination of software, it is a combination of politics and expressions, and it's a multifaceted thing. Alright, so when I say the web, I mean all of those things. The use of technology, the use of camera, the use of social media platforms. That is the entirety of the web. Yep, that the economy and the trade and the social networks and community groups. So when I say that the web is on top of the drama, what I'm saying is that the drama, the narrative, the character performing, right, that story can exist independent of the web-based interference. So, for example, let's have a look at where far out I had everything prepped and now it's all gone. Bloody buggeries. Okay, I'm just going to cut to another shot for a minute. No, let's not do that. Let's do that. Hang on, bear with me. Oh, damn. Tried so hard to get this sorted. I want a background. I want an overlay. No. I want a screen capture of. Bear with me. Okay. Okay, right. Now, this is a little bit out of the chapter of the thesis I'm writing. This is what I've been talking about. Okay, so if I can go here, I can, for freak's sake, go away. Right, so these are photos from the field work that I did, right? Now when I say the web is the web or the technology or the interface or any of those things are laid on top of the drama, I'm talking about is in a very primitive form, shadows, right? Right, this is very, very primitive form. Here is the action going on. The use of some very primitive light and a very primitive screen creates an effect. In this case, the effect could look scary and sinister. The effect could look like something else. It could do a little bunny or rabbit ears, and it would look humorous. The shadow adds to the drama. The bloke behind, Max behind, would stand there and do the bunny ears on top of Jazz's head, and if you didn't have anything there behind it, it would just look like someone doing that. You put a screen behind it and light in front of it, you create shadows, you start to create other elements. The drama exists, and the other technical web-based stuff, well, in this case. Right, here's another example, right? So we took video footage, we had the projector screen behind the actor, and then we projected that footage onto the screen behind them. Now that essentially just operates like a normal theatre convention of a backdrop. Yep. So the backdrop of a old school theatre when we used to have proscenium arch theatres and flower galleries and stuff. If anyone can remember them. You would use a backdrop to portray a garden scene or a seascape or a picnic or a location of some kind. And this is essentially that technology, but with that concept, but with the projector as the technology. So you can have moving images as well. And we played around with a little bit of, do you have the projector behind the actor, or do you have the projector in front of the actor, and cast a shadow and sort of double up on what we were doing up here. Again, essentially the drama, the action of the actor doing the drama doesn't change. It is the viewer's perception of it is manipulated by the images that we show, but the action doesn't change. It's not affected by that change. In many cases, what we did with some experiments here is we changed it with the actor knowing what was behind them as an old improvisation gag, if you've ever seen it, Whose Line Is It Anyway? So that created humour, drama, all the rest of it. Okay, so then we moved on to the next stage again. So we had an actor, in this case it was Nikki, performing to a camera. So up here she's looking at a camera, which is just out of shot here, and we've set something up in front of her, and so that's what the image looks like in the camera, and then so we've layered it up again now. Okay, and instead of a projector screen, we've got a green screen, so now we can start to play with the backgrounds again. Again, we can have still images or moving images. Principle's kind of the same as this one here. It's just using a green screen model. Yeah. Again, the nature of the actor, the performance, the lines they say, the journey that they go on, that doesn't necessarily change. What happens here changes the performance. So there's the web on top of the drama again. Here's another example, taking it a little bit further, where you can have multiple inputs. So this image here is this shot here, but then we had multiple inputs and we had other actors. So this actor here is not in front of any seat, he's just on a couch, and this actor here is in front of a black curtain. You can bring them all together and you can manipulate them. You really, fundamentally, you're still not changing that principle. These actors are performing in their space. The web is on top of the web, and the technology is on top of that and manipulating the viewer's experience of the performance, but the performance doesn't change. And this is a link to a file which I won't show you because it's too difficult and you don't need to see it. Alright, so that is what I mean by the web on top of the drama. Now, some modern examples of that. Would you like to see some modern examples of that? A couple of things happened on Twitter a little while ago. These have come up. You ever listen?
We're exploring things like, working with people who might have an SLR in their home. So we're just going to come up with these new ideas and new ways for us to really make it work. So I'm working with a few people where we're exploring things like,
so cool little funny thing. Here's another one here. Not seeing on this one. Probably not saying anything interesting. No, it's in recorded sound. So, same principle, exactly the same principle. These people are here. The actor is here performing the narrative. Behind them, with the use of green screen and zoom and all the rest of it, they're doing exactly what we were doing in the rehearsal room as well, and they're laying around. And that is affecting your experience of watching it. It makes you laugh, it makes you respond, because you as the audience are aware of something that the actor isn't aware of, or the character isn't aware of. And so you can see how that taps into old school narrative concepts of revealing things to the audience that the character doesn't know. Again, though, what we're doing is we're essentially writing for that this person's performance, or this character's performance, isn't affected by what's going on around him. Okay, so it's still kind of like the performance is just going out to you, but it's got effects and things layered on top of it to colour that experience, to garnish that experience. Yeah, okay. So that's version 2. Okay, version 3. Version 3 is the drama on top of the web. Now, this is where things start to move and change a little bit. Okay, now we're finding people who are using the platform itself to tell the story, the dramatic narrative in the story. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Okay, early in the 2010s, 2010s, there was a movement in New York of several theatre companies who started to investigate how they could integrate web-based social media technology into performances. There were a number of groups that were doing it. There's still a few around now, but ultimately the movement kind of, I'm not going to say it fizzled out. It was just, I don't know, they just didn't get into it, I guess. It just wasn't their thing. They still kind of use it, but it's not kind of moved completely onto it. So there was this guy called Jeremy Gable. He wrote a Twitter play. He wrote it in 2010. Actually, he might have even done it earlier than that. Anyway, basically, he's a playwright. He created 5 separate accounts for 5 different characters in a play that he was writing. And what he did is every day for a few months, a few weeks, he wrote the play, and when he addressed a line to a character, he put that in the Twitter post. So these characters, these avatars that he had created, were saying the lines on their Twitter handle. Does that make sense? That's where they were speaking. So Twitter became the stage that they were performing on. It wasn't they performing on, it was just him performing on. He was writing it, he was delivering it, he was doing all the posts every day. Interesting thing about this particular play is that it was remounted about 5 years later. So that's interesting, that you can write a Twitter play and it can still, one of the features about a play is that you can pass it on as a blueprint for interpretation to other artists. So in this sense, he was able to do that with a Twitter play. That script, that narrative, those character archetypes were passed on to another group and they interpreted it. The director of that version, called Erin Mee, who works at New York University, she commented on the nature, because again it was just her doing all the character tweets. She did, I think maybe she shared it with a couple of students, can't quite remember. Yeah, maybe she did. But she commented on the fact that she was deeply invested in the ongoing creation of the character, because she had to think about when she posted every day. When would this character post every day? This character would post on the way to work every morning. This character would post doing their gym work every evening. This character would post these sorts of photos. This character would do this sort of thing and follow these sorts of groups and these sorts of people and have these sorts of interests. And so the writer of even though the person was writing a script, the nature of the stage being Twitter meant that they had to constantly evolve and shape and respond, because the characters and the Twitter handles were starting to attract followers of their own. So there were people who were following the play, they were following all 5 characters, and they were getting in on that, and you know, following that. But there were also people who were just following individual characters, avatars. They didn't know about the play, they didn't know about the other characters, they didn't have any idea about the context of where this character, this other universe that's just sat next to them. They only followed that character. And they would talk to that character without that knowledge. And so the author then has to respond as that character. And that's a bit of an improvisation moment. Yeah. It's both an improvisation with an audience, who Erin Mee refers to in a place called hidden theatre, that they are part of the performance even though they don't realise they are. And yet there were other people who knew exactly what was going on and were following everything. Interesting. So, essentially, that's still a very unidirectional kind of method. It's coming from the writer out. So, next guy that was really interesting. I don't know whether you've heard of this guy before. Just watch a little bit of the opening. Of course, we've got to have an ad. Okay, here we go.
The Shed is the #1 rated restaurant in London. You've got every foodie, celebrity and blogger in the city trying to get a table. The problem is, until now, it didn't exist.
It's a fake website explained that they don't have a traditional menu per se. Instead of meals, our menu is comprised of booze.
For 7 months, Vice reporter Uber Butler tricked TripAdvisor.
It's like you blink and you're in the Groucho.
Can you believe that you managed to get to #1?
You became the #1 restaurant in London.
After the Shed news hit the headlines, I spent 20 hours doing interviews back to back in like the Times, Tory Graph, in the Evening Standard as a cultural reference point.
It's an extraordinary story. It's a jaw-dropping story.
Susanna Reid told me on Good Morning Britain.
It's a very naughty thing to do.
Okay, maybe just a little bit more.
My first writing job was writing fake reviews for restaurants. I would do that and they'd give me a tenner. Boom. Businesses' fortunes would genuinely be transformed. That made me see TripAdvisor as like a false reality that everyone took completely seriously. Over the years I just thought the only bit of TripAdvisor that is unfakeable is a restaurant itself. And one day I thought, oh, maybe it is actually fakeable. I've been living here for about a year and a half. I'm paying £800 a month for it.
Alright, so he goes on and basically uses TripAdvisor, he uses the platform of TripAdvisor, the review process, the referral process. He uses the functions and the adaptability of TripAdvisor as almost the stage on which he's telling. Yeah, essentially this is a gotcha prank. Yeah, I get all of that. There's a lot of things going on here, but I'm not interested in any of that kind of stuff. What I'm talking about here is the fact that he, with a cast of a few other people, was able to generate a false sense of reality. And that became the stage. Over 7 months, it gets crazy. The amount of content that he's dealing with, PR executives. The thing is that this reality started to make ripples in the real world. He had TV. He was turning down bookings. He was saying it was booked months in advance. He was taking phone calls all the time. He was responding to it. It caused a real world effect. Now, in terms of us theatre makers, it wasn't a suspension of disbelief, because a suspension of disbelief is an unspoken agreement between the audience and the actors that we know what we're doing, we know you're performing, and we know that I'm watching, but we're going to pretend that we're going to just watch and pretend in this, as Stanislavski called it, this public solitude relationship. Now, in this guy's case, wasn't a suspension of disbelief, because all the people who were gotcha'd in the prank had no idea they were part of the performance. Is it the same as Aaron Mee's Hidden Theatre? Question for debate. Oh, did you not see that? Did I not? Oh, for fuck's sake. Did you hear it? Question for debate. Sorry, my bad, people. This is why sometimes you need more than one person. You heard it though. You heard it. Watch this dude. Funny as. And all the stuff I said you would have got that still counts. Okay, moving on. One of the features of working with online is that there are many, many moving parts, as there are in normal theatre. Definitely. I would say there's probably, it's a bit like DJing. I mean, I've never DJed, but it feels a bit like what DJing would feel like. Like you're moving from one moment to the next moment. You're trying to keep an energy going and a momentum going and information coming through and all the rest of it. So there you go. So that's drama on top of the web. Drama using the web, using the web itself as the storytelling medium. Now we've moved beyond the web as a delivery model. Now the web is the theatre. It is the drama. It is the stage on which we are performing. Out as a stage is a carved out piece of real estate in which to suspend our disbelief. We are carving out. We can see a way through that we can carve out such a space in an online Web 2 environment. Got to think about it a bit differently, but we can do it. So these two, the web on the theatre and the web on the drama and the drama on the web, these two things really got my juices flowing. So when we moved forward into lunch with Jenna, is it here? No. Where's lunch with Jenna? Well, you missed the last one. You missed the last one. You can watch this one. So we came up with this. I came up with this.
I mean, seriously, look at this gorgeous bunch of people. You can wave because you are actually being live streamed. I know! I love the platform that people can tune in. I love the concept. That's the exciting part, is seeing the workings of what's going on and how it gets pulled together. you're right. Oh, beautiful. And we need to come in here. You can keep tweeting me.
Yes, do it.
Please tweet me. Hashtag lunch with Jenny.
Steve, it should be fine. It's all good. Thank you so much for your suggestion, guys.
I definitely didn't realise it was pre-recorded because the timing was spot on.
So what I developed was a hybrid version of these two. So, well, three, really. We created a play that existed in my kitchen and my lounge room. We had a real audience there. You could see that they were there. They were watching. Let's go to you. Don't need you now. And so there was an actor performing to a real audience. That stage was a green screen stage. I should probably get up my Insta page. Was just a green screen studio. What was I getting up? What was I doing? I can't remember. Anyway. Instagram. We also were, so we were broadcasting that stream. No, too hard. We were broadcasting that stream. Okay, so we were using the web as a delivery model. We were broadcasting that performance straight out. Now, this is where things changed a little bit. Because we were broadcasting on particular platforms, we were then able to use those platforms as ways of telling the story and communicating with an audience. So, we started to do a little bit of what Gable did, in that the characters all had social media identities that were their own, that they spoke to each other, and we would kind of improvise around a sort of narrative from week to week. In that narrative, we then employed some of what Uber Butler does, in that we tried to generate a narrative between them so we worked on the idea of a gossip, right? That the idea that something had happened between them, some sort of tension had happened between them that they were playing out online, as people do. They play out their issues with each other online, grievances, and that this was all moving to a point of something was going to happen. So rather than writing a narrative where there was something that had happened and there was this fallout from it, we were building to that point as the thing. And that's what the live performance was all about. The performance was all about. That moment where all those characters came together and those threads came together in this clash. So we were also able to use, and we did 3 plays, and in those 3 plays we eventually developed this hybrid version, so that what happens is that you have an audience in the room, like there's someone sitting just here and I can actually talk to them. Then there's an audience online, like you guys are sitting there and I can talk to you. Then we said we don't want that audience there to turn off their phone. We want that audience there to tweet what's going on, to let everyone know, share it around, that's the promotional part of it. That's the that business model part of it. You're using the platform to perform the show as well as deliver the show. It is the show. It's all the show. So the live audience there, we said jump online, you can tweet whoever you want. So in the end, and because they were following a hashtag, and all the audience from here and the audience from here were both following that same hashtag, what we found is that audience could talk to each other, independent of talking to the actor. Or what happened with a couple of occasions is we had an actor and an audience member who had a different avatar as her Twitter handle. And so she started performing. So she was performing the role of the audience member in the room, but she started performing the role of a different audience member online, and that feed would then come back into the actor, and the actor would have to respond to that, as well as the live actor. Now, when all of that starts to happen, that is a buzz. It is crazy. It is as live and ephemeral and off the charts kind of energy as you could ever imagine in any other show. It really is, especially if you have characters, and we did, and we had narrative that did. We had characters who were relatable. We had a combination of suspension of disbelief where the audience voluntarily agreed to that relationship. We also had moments where there was hidden theatre involved, where the audience had no idea what was going on. In the third play particularly, we used pre-recorded stuff. There was a lot of recorded stuff, and we'd done it in such a way that the audience didn't actually know which was pre-recorded and which was live. They thought it was all live. And some of it wasn't at all. It was just like pressing a lighting cue. Now, you have this combination of hidden theatre, you have this combination of fourth wall, social agreement, but there's also no fourth wall, because the actor, the nature of performing online, the nature of being an online streamer and engaging, and you can see all the videos that are up on all the social media platforms all the time. It's all about talking to you, the audience, and having a relationship with you. I'm having a relationship with you through the camera. And you on the other side of the camera want to feel like I'm actually talking to you, because that's what makes the connection. But the reality is, I'm just talking to a little spot on the wall in the phone there. And that is going out and being segmented up to maybe, hopefully, hundreds and thousands. And hey, I'm Donald Trump. There are hundreds and thousands of people of all sorts of joining in. And each one of them individually thinks I'm talking to you. They all operate collectively. There's a lot going on. What I'm trying to get at, people, is that if you want to start performing online, if you want to start taking your theatre making craft and technique and professionalism and start, which doesn't apply for everyone, it doesn't apply for every performing arts industry and all the rest of it, but if you're one of these people, if you are starting to move online in your performance work, if you are starting to make that shift, if you're starting to explore it, and as the longer this goes down, the more you will explore, the more you will want to know how you can write something that can be more communicative and more connected to an audience out there, rather than just camera, broadcast, go. Here's what I did, have a look. We may as well be making short films. We're not short film makers, we're theatre makers. We dabble in the ephemeral, we dabble in the live, the real, the raw, the untamed, the highly charged. That's what we work with. And if we're going to find a way to write work that is still that powerful and perform work that is still that powerful, then there are some shifts we have to make about how we can do that. That's the 4 ways. Delivery model, web on the top of the theatre, drama on top of the web, and web theatre, the hybrid. Yep, it's pretty cool. Like I said, short, sharp and shiny, fast game's a good game. Do you like the quarantine haircut? It's functional, practical and pragmatic. And I look a little bit fuzzy. Yeah, I'm finding that fluff is sticking to me now, a bit like Velcro. Alright, and I love you and leave you, peeps, because we're done. They're the 4 ways. If you want to talk to me about that 4th way, incidentally, the 4th dimension, get it? Contact me. I'm here. I'll be here again in 2 weeks, 24th of Feb, 24th of April, oh my God. 24th of April, I'll be here again. I'll be here again on the 24th of April. See you then, 9:30. Love you long time. Keep making theatre. Ciao for now.